Hi everyone, welcome back. Well, I was gonna wait till go out to dinner with the grandkids and then wait until tomorrow to finish it up, but I got back and I thought, well, I just might come on down to the studio and finish filming this. It's been a fun painting, and so what I did while I was just getting cleaned up and ready to start again is I started to put a little color onto this cactus here, and I'm going to show you the big ones up here. I put just a little bit more color up in here. I will probably do it again. I love painting mountains like this, and so I will probably do it again. I might put a little more color right back up into here. And when I looked at my clouds, I decided, I'm going to build this one up a little higher right up there as well. So anyway, as it dries down, you'll get a different kind of a feel for it. So tomorrow when I come in, I might get a different feel for it. But this is all dry now. I mean, it's been about 3 hours or so. So this is pretty much dry right back in here. So it's a nice place to work on. So let's go in and work on it. Let's come up and do the cactus. Now, when I got back, the first thing I noticed about this cactus was they're all out about exactly the same. So, and I looked up there. That's the one I was using over there, but the one I was using over here has this one a little closer. So I'm going to back this one out. I'm going to take a little bit. Oh, and that's what I was going to do here was I'm almost out of my yellow oxide. I was going to give myself some more yellow oxide here. Just blow through a lot of yellow oxide on this painting. Yellow oxide. This is my nice messy palette, and you can see some of this is still pretty wet. Some of this where I was working on the clouds and stuff is still pretty wet. But let's get some of this yellow oxide, burnt sienna. We'll put some of our cool colors into it. Okay, so I'll just show you. You don't have to use. Matter of fact, you don't want exactly the same tone. Just something that I'm just gonna back this little guy back out with some of that color. Let's blue that up just a bit more, a little darker here, and just put some extra movement there. Now we need that gray. Okay, so it's a bit of blue and white, and just some of that color there, some of this nice gray. Yeah, it just has to come close. Doesn't have to be perfect. We'll come in here and just break that and just carry that around there. So we'll back that out, touch that in, and now I'll go over and put on it again. This time I'm going to move it in. It's one of the things, I'm a left brain painter. I've told you that in several videos. And so we tend to do things, left brain painters tend to do things evenly, and which is what I don't want to do. And I did this one, I did it evenly. So I'm just going to bring these two up in a little closer together. I'll show you. So a little pine green, a little yellow, a little dirty color here. I'm going to bring this one on this side right here. Not quite as high, but I'm going to bring it a little closer and join it in right towards the center here. So they're not, side to side. This one's coming out of the center a little bit. And especially since that's my center of interest cactus, I want to have some different variations of, where these branches are coming out. Let's take a little blue, a little burnt sienna, a little green, a nice shadow that we had here. Let's just push and tap down the shadow side here, right there like that. So that one's going to come in a little closer and give some more interest. Now, what I did with this one here is I choose the light. Okay, so, and I like the light here as my yellows and my greens here, but a lot of yellows and greens. We'll put even a little brighter onto this one, and we'll model in some light here, some white. Go up to about a value 8 or so. We're going to do this several times, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, just like I'm doing the mountains, and when you're painting a cactus or you're painting the mountains or anything, if you want your whole landscape to kind of go together, you want to use some of the same type of techniques. So I'm going to start out here with the chisel and drag it. I'm right down next to that ferrule. So see the dragging that I get. And then I'll rotate it, flatten it out here, and rotate it a bit and pull it down like that. So I get some uneven light there. Do you see that? And that's not perfect. I'm going to change it a little bit. Let's do this one. As we get down, let's do that one a little better. So as we get down here, oh, I shouldn't have ate so much for dinner, I tell you. There we go. That's a little bit of light. Now, let's put a little yellow and a little bit more yellow into this. Let's hit the edge of this one. Right down like that, right into the center there. And just a bit of this one right there, okay? Now, we're going to be taking that out. So how do you, this is what I did over here with this one. So what do you take it out with? Well, I'm going to make a halftone. I'm going to take some green, and I'm going to carry into these cactus so that, you know, in this they're very yellow-green, but the whole scene is very warm into the sienna. So I'm going to put in some raw sienna, some yellow oxide, burnt sienna, some green into some of this light. And what I'm going to do is make a halftone, and I'm going to use my brush in different methods here and just tap that along. Don't mix it up real well. Sometimes it'll come out a little more green, sometimes a little more yellow or light. A halftone is a tone that sits right between the light and the dark here. So I want to leave some of that, but I want to start adding the mottled, what we call the mottled interest to it. I don't want to just make a stroke. I want to pull this through, break the edge of the light and the shadow there. Okay, break that edge. Let's pull down through here. Sometimes a little wider. Sometimes as I get down here, I'll just pull across here, giving a different look. Let's just put some of that right there like that. And maybe even a little more burnt sienna on some of them. You can make your cactus look completely different. Let's put a little bit more burnt sienna right where it's coming right down in here into the center of this one. Here, that part. And, you know, this burnt sienna goes really well with the scene. Let's take a little burnt sienna in yellow. It goes really, really well with the scene because, you know, it's this cactus, these are the colors of the scene. So I'm putting some of those colors of those hills and everything into my cactus. Now, in the photo over there, see, if you look real close, you will see some of those yellowy kind of tones in there. And you know, what an artist does sometimes is you notice those tones and then you accentuate those tones to get a good harmony to your painting. So we'll put a little bit more yellow. Let's go back to some of this light, but this light with some more of that halftone color into it. So I like to break edges and not make it absolutely smooth, especially up here on a front cactus. I want to push out. I don't want it really super smooth. I want to push out here. Boom, like that. That's good. Let's just take some of that out, a little yellow. See some little touches of that. Boom through. That comes through. Just model it up like that. See all those beautiful colors it's starting to get. And then we'll go back to a shadow. Let's go back to a darker pine green, burnt sienna, maybe even a touch of red into it this time. A little different, a little bit of blue here, okay? Let's come in right underneath that front branch. Maybe right here, since we're seeing the shadow side of this one, we'll increase that shadow right there. Leave that, maybe some of that shadow comes together with that one there. Okay, and a bit of that shadow underneath here, we'll bring that. You can bring it, join this one in more on the side here just by bringing some of that light and shadow right into the cactus right there. But what you see here is I'm painting it with a lot of what we call broken color. This is the technique, you know, what we did up there onto the hills and stuff here. So This is a lot of the broken color. I'll tap and move. So now I'm using the brush. Sometimes I use the ferrule, sometimes the brush here, okay? The brush tip for it, it's just getting this. Now you can also smooth it out as well if you want it to have it a little bit smoother. I might want it a little rough. I'm going to put a, but if you go back through it again with some of those lights here, let's do some of these lights here. Boom, just touch those through here, here. And it just starts adding a lot more interest to it. And again, it's back to how many times you're going to do this and, work the lights and the shadows here. Boom, through. And that works pretty well. Sometimes I'll even push, let's just push that right into the to the body of the cactus there. Sometimes I will thin it out, use a little extender, thin it out with like a medium tone, a medium value here, and just wash over, glaze over it there, just to bring some heart or unity to some of those colors there, see? And that works really well if you, it's just washing a common tone or glazing, what I would consider glazing, common tone over that and bringing some better unity. Now, I better lighten up, though. Because this other one I really like got lighter. So some of the highlights here I'll pull across. I'll pull down, pull across here. I like the, they have all kinds of veins and vein lines and stuff in them. And so you might want to show a few of those, as you're putting some of this together. But just working them back and forth like this, and I would do them several times. And let's put a little half tone right in there, soften that a bit there, work that light, use different parts of your brush here, go back and forth between your light and shadow, different tones, different colors. And each time you do that, I know sometimes it seems like, especially if you're a beginning painter, it seems like it's kind of a pain, but for me, see, I like that as that starts to happen here. And I might take that a little bit more yellow and come across here in a few areas. Let's go a bit darker and pull across here, across the cactus there, and start getting some of that interest into it. Many times, multiple times, each time I approach it with a little bit different brush stroke. And for me as a left-brain painter, that's not easy. We tend to get a habit. That's one reason why I say to you guys so many times, paint seascapes, paint roses, paint birds, paint all these things. Learn to use your brush, or your brush doesn't develop a habit. If you paint landscapes only, because landscapes is what you like, it's very hard for you to vary your brush because you don't know what some of the other light planes and objects and stuff that you paint, like a bird's beak, how do you get that in there? So you don't learn that. So, all the masters the European masters that I studied and everything, they would, even ones that I liked as really good flower painters, like Eugene Henri Couchoir, he studied portrait painting with his teacher, even while he was well known for his florals, because he used those techniques into his florals to help him vary some of the looks and stuff that he got. And that's very, very true. That works that way. So, try some of the other things. If you find your brush is kind of stagnant, it's always kind of the same, try a few other little touches, or a few other little variations of, try a portrait, a landscape, a seascape, a floral, some birds. I paint all kinds of stuff. And that is what keeps my brush, really keeps my brush from forming habits. So I can change up real quick. So now you see that coming there. Now, I will probably put a little bit more light. I'm looking up at my big monitor there, which I told you guys I have that up there and I have it back on. And I'll probably put just a bit more light. I want to see some more light, and on that photo, it's coming in right in here, right up underneath that one, which is a good place right there to get some nice light. So I'll touch this. Let's see, it's right up on the top. It's, you know, in the reference photo that I have, of course I'm painting from all different kinds of ones, but it's right on the edge. The real light is right on the edge of this cactus. And there, we'll put some of that up there, like that. Some of that light. And it's right on the edge of this big one right out here as well. So we'll come back, maybe sometimes pick up a little bead of paint, but rotate and twist and turn your brush, or you get some different angles of it. Let's come in. Nice little half tone. There, run that right along the edge of that light. Sometimes I'll run it with the flat, sometimes I use the brush like this. There. Took out too much of that shadow, so guess what? I get to put some back in. Some light and dark of that. That's pretty good. And also, you know, when you're coming towards the end of painting something like this, you know, let it dry down. Take a look at it and let it dry down, because acrylics dry a little darker. So what you think might be a huge amount of contrast in that light and dark may not be by the time it dries down, okay? I'm going to take that green out of there. I probably am going to lighten it up again, because I do like this one with just a little bit more light. But I'm going to let it dry for a minute. Let's go in, and I still have some of those greens and stuff there. I want to put that light across this way a little bit more. So let's get some of those siennas, raw sienna, a little yellow, some of that green. And let's just work that light right across this area again, a little lighter before it starts to fade away over here. Boom, light like that. That looks pretty good. Now you can put in different, like I said to you earlier today, you can put in some different angles. You know, pull back this way to put in some different angles. Push with your fingers a bit here. And so is this, I thought I had that pretty much okay, and then it dried down. And it wasn't pretty much okay. So we just, guess what, we get to do it again. That keeps it, it's okay. I'm going to put a bit of that right back up over here. Totally space this on this side over here. Put in some of those alluvials right in there like that. So a little bit of that motion is fine, but I really like it. I want the viewer to come in and go right up here like that, and that's what's working. That's what's working in that area. And that's just all your yellows, and I really like the palette when it gets like this when I'm painting landscape, and because it just gets so much stuff going on here. Let's push that this way. It gets so much stuff going on and so much interest and stuff to it. There we go. A little bit of that through there like that. Maybe a little light hit right out here, right where I want that viewer to be coming out. There. See, I like that. Just smash that brush. Use it on its chisel. Get real close when you're using the fusion like this, real close to that ferrule, just running against the edge of the board there. And that's what gives you that nice granulation there. Okay, I'm going to lift a little bit of that off that cactus there. Just a bit. But we'll leave some of that lost. And maybe a little lower. Just like that. Now I lost some of that green which I did like because this is part of my whole theme. If you haven't watched the other parts, it's part of my whole theme here. Is after the rain and everything gets a little bit more green. So we'll push that in. Now, let's come back in here. We're going to work on some of these bushes again. So I'll take some of that pine green. Let's keep it a little bit more burnt sienna here. And I used my brush, and I used it last time. I used the real big brush in corners. This is my 10, and a 1/2 inch works really nice. And I just like to scrub this. When you're painting, and if you get the fusion brushes and stuff, never, ever, ever throw away a fusion brush, okay? Because over the years, this one I've had for a long time, painting many different things. And I love the older brushes for painting something like this, because they get out everywhere, because, I really kind of abuse them a little bit, pushing them out and around. But I love that. And they just respond so very well when making bushes and all that kind of stuff. And an old one. A new one is harder to use sometimes. So I said that. I said that one time when I was teaching. And I was over in Taiwan teaching. And I said, I just love the older brushes. And well, a bunch of the students, I was teaching at a university, and a bunch of the students I saw out during the break were out there on the parking lot running their brush over the parking lot. I said, no, you don't need to take a new brush and make it bad. But it's just kind of funny. But as it gets older, it actually gets better. See all these little edges and stuff like that? That works out really nice for us. Now, let's put just a few of those. So there'll be a bush or two right out through here. A few of these marks, and they can be low bushes and all kinds of stuff here. And we'll want to, put in some dead colors, like the browns and the siennas and stuff. But we're going to want just a little bit of green because it's after the rain here. So that's what we want. Now, look what I did here, too, is I got that almost all the same height, which is not a real great thing to do. Variation. That's my darn left brain. Yeah, and so I'm going to take some of that out, pull down through here, take just a bit of that shadow out, so I vary my bushes a bit. And I love painting like this. This is what I call the losing the edges, the lost edges, painting like that. So I'll lose some of the edges of the bushes, and I'll go back and forth between these edges here. A little bit of this shadow, okay, a little bit of that, so I'll get some differences there. Let's take some of that lighter green. We use some Hansa, quite a bit of Hansa, a little Darulite, some pine green, and a little bit of white here. Okay, let's add some open medium to this. Okay, we'll tap that around here for a second, and let's just add some greens right up here. A little bit of bushy greens. Change the color around. Let's get a little yellow oxide in some of these colors here. Here, right up through here. Just push. Look and see how this old fusion just does great stuff here. Okay, and you can hear me running that around, and it just does great stuff. Sometimes I'll use the scraper and stuff, but I got enough colors going on there, I think, right now. And we'll just, this is the impressionism of it. I just love here to just grab those edges. See, I'll take like this light, maybe a touch more yellow, model that right through here like this, set back and put the edge right up along the edge of that water there. Here, some of that back there. And you have to be kind of powerful. You have to be, and this is the thing, guys, you have to be kind of powerful. You have to be very confident about just put it on there and go. You're never going to be able to copy what I do, and I tell you that all the time, and I really seriously mean it. You're not going to be able to copy what I do. But the thing is, it's confident stroke. You have to be confident. And years ago, I was reading this master, and he said to me, and it changed the way I viewed everything. He said, it is much better to put on a confident stroke that's wrong than to work and work and work a stroke and make it perfect. Because you work and work and work it, and it looks stiff. Okay? So you put it on, and even though it may be wrong, you don't know that because I'm not going to tell you. Okay, but it may be, it just has to be confident here. So I'm just putting these colors on like this. So I get some of these little grasses and stuff here, and I'll use a couple of different colors. I'll use some nice horizontals, drags, some little verticals, so it gets some bushes and stuff like that through there, like that. Okay. I'm going to drag just a bit of this. Let's go more to let's put some siennas in this so it tones down just a bit. Let's come up along this back side here, a little further back. That's why I'm toning it back. You could also put a little sky color into it and get that nice atmospherics here. Here, put some of that out there like that. I just love the atmospherics of it. I just love the impressionism of it. I'm going to take a light tan right over here, and see, you can back paint down, get rid of some of that just a bit, and see, so you can paint back and forth with these. You don't want to lose all your shadow, but you can paint back and forth there, softening some of that out. Change your tone just a bit here. Let's go right through here. So if you feel you get too much grass and green, paint it out like that. Paint it out and put that in. Make sure you step back and take a look. That looks pretty good. There, you can put little stones and rocks and all kinds of stuff along there. Okay. Let's put a little bit more to the yellows. Here, some more sienna here. And we'll take this, and we'll come back in here and we'll just touch. Now, see, that doesn't show up very much, but I want to approach it a little slow, right up over that cactus there. A little slow, some siennas. You're going to think some of these little bushes and stuff like that right out there like that, okay? And, yeah, let's get a little more light. Just a touch of that pine green, a light, very mottled yellow green. Now you got to think light. If you're looking at putting on a bush, think light. The highlight here is coming from the right side, the upper right side. So think upper right here, and then let it fade away as it gets down there to the ground. And you can back some of it off with your finger, or back some of it off with your other brush or something like that. We're just going to put a little bit on here, just the idea of some little hits for bushes and stuff, okay? Right after the rain here. That's pretty good. You can, usually what I'll do is I'll reestablish some of my shadowing and stuff, sometimes with a half tone or something else, and see, I can use the brush to give some more detail. Especially I want that detail right here so your eye comes right up and through. And I'll soften it out here on the sides, and I'll soften it out on the sides by using more of the flat here. Take out some of that light, maybe put a little halftone, a little more yellows, greens here. Let's put that now. That's a little, I went ahead and did that. It was a little too much. I'm going to go back with some burnt siennas, soften through that. There. That's pretty good. I like a bit of that green though. A little bit of that green. So see, you can go back And see, I'm holding my brush different. Sometimes I'm way back. Sometimes if I want a little bit more perfect, I encroach on the brush up to the front. We'll put in just a few splashes of that brighter green there. So it looks like, here we go, that's coming through. See, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good there. Now, I'm going to take some of this brown, light brown green from those bushes and add a bit more into my cactus here. Just to lighten that up a bit. And break some of those. Let's get the bit of the shadow here. Burnt sienna green. Here, a little bit more of a shadow right into this side. Here. I like that burnt sienna. Now, this is something that can be part of your, whatever your statement as an artist is. I'm going to take some of the yellows and the burnt siennas, and I put those in some of my shadows in the mountains, and I just love that. And you can see it's kind of a glowy little color, and that just looks, I think that looks pretty good on the cactus here as well. So I'm going to add just a bit, and then I'll go back to that halftone. And you might, yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's put a touch of that up here. Right over there, bit of that right there. Just put some of that bright, and let's work a little more light. So I want this cactus, really to be a nice thing that kind of leads you in and takes you in. Of course, what is really going to do it is I'm going to put I've decided I'm going to give those light rays. I was going to tell you I was going to do those light rays. So I'm going to put those light rays on, and I'll show you how I'm going to do those. I need to get my glass palette. Here, we'll do that. Here, we'll put just a bit of that. See, I just vary that color. I like that. And that. So some of the colors I just used and stuff into the bushes and stuff I might add into this cactus. This cactus, I always feel you can paint as many times as you want. Each time a little different, because it's the main interest part here of this painting here. Kind of pulling it in. And I just might make it even a little lighter yet. Let's just see how that's going to go. Take some of that nice light. It's all going to be a little harder to tell until let's just break that a bit. Here. Some of this mid yellows. Here, see, just break that up a bit. And then into a bit of our shadow tone. Each time a little different. Here. There we go. Get some of those colors in there. That's pretty good. If I want to, it's a little bit lighter than what that one is there, and that's okay. That's kind of what I want. I want it a little bit darker, which it is, and a little bit lighter, so it has a bit more contrast to it than what the other one does. So pull down, but sometimes pull across. That keeps, it's a big, long, tall structure, and if you always paint up and down, that's going to make the viewer's eye travel up and down too much. So we want them to go side to side every once in a while. And you can come back. Let's take some ultimate light and just tap and hit a few areas there as well. Here. There. That's a little, now that's, I feel is, and I can hear some of you there screaming at me, too light, too light. Yes, I understand. I hear you. Okay. But that's the other thing, it's an acrylic and it's going to dry down. So I'll just tap a little color into it, take it down just a bit. And after it dries, if I still don't like it, I can take it down again. Okay, so But this is how you know it looks. And then how do you tell? You get back and you take a look at it at that. Don't look at it up close. Get back and look at it 8 feet away and see how you're doing. You know, with that 8 foot look. You know. And so now let's give a path of light. So we're doing pretty good here. Let's give a little bit more of a path of light. Model some of this together. Right up and through here, and what I mean by a path of light is a lot of artists and stuff, we're going to lead that viewer back into our painting here through a light. And just like working a still life, floral still life, where you see me come in and just bang some light colors right up into the front of the painting and pull the viewer into the painting. The light right through here will pull the viewer into the painting as well. So whether you're painting a still life or a landscape or a floral container, you direct the viewer by how you, and it could be light, it could be textures, it could be a lot of things here. And let's put in just a touch more of that light green right through there, little bushes and stuff, a little bit more light right through there. Then you can do it also, touch into it and you'll see through some of the darks. So, light and dark contrast. That's where you get your the interest and stuff through your painting. Let's get some of those siennas in that. Pull those through. I just love that color into the deserts here. There we go. And we'll just take some of this and model this around and act like it's a little bush right there by the cactus. Here. We'll model. So even though you do a lot of bushes and stuff here, you're going to want some horizontals, which helps them set down. You need some horizontals to help set down to the ground here. So a few horizontals, some verticals, nice horizontal strokes to help them set down to the ground here. Let's just put a bit of that contrast on. Then we'll come through, soften it, leave a bit of that, put in some, I just love impressionism. Just drop that in there. Makes it look like you know what you're doing. And so now you see that light kind of coming through, there. We can take just a bit of that dark there. See there like that? Okay, so that sets that, and I will probably, maybe we'll see, do a little bit more on the squirrel cactus. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up to do the rays of light coming through. To do that, I don't do that on a dirty palette, and I don't do that on a paper palette. I use a glass, and so I'm going to go get my glass palette. Give me 3 minutes, okay? And I'll come back and I'll show you guys how to put on some of those light rays, okay? And then we'll add a few other little finishing touches, okay? See you in a minute. Okay, everyone, welcome back. I got my stuff here to show you this. Now, I'm going to introduce you to a technique, and I've done a lot on the channel with you with what we call alloprema, and those are direct painting techniques. Direct painting techniques are where you're painting into a wet-on-wet, basically, thing. Even though I'm letting some of this dry, it's basically considered alloprema, one time through. There are some other videos I have on there on glazing techniques. And what I'm going to do when I put these rays of light through here is I'm going to use a glazing technique. Now, when you are using a glazing technique, we have a medium for it. And it's called Glazy Medium, okay? And what Glazy Medium is just like clear paint. White is one of the most opaque colors, and you can destroy your painting if you use too much white. And so you keep away from doing that is you use clear paint to help suspend the white and stretch it out and make it most like you're looking through a little frosted window or something like that, okay? And so I like to use mostly glazing medium and just a little bit of white just to cloud it just a little bit. It's really good to go test it on something if you haven't done this very much, okay? The other thing that you can do, Glazing Medium is a wonderful urethane product, just like the paint's a urethane. It has a lot of protective things to it. You can give your whole painting a thin coat of Glazing Medium. Now, Glazing Medium, like you see here, is really thick. You can thin it down with some water and just paint it on like you do a varnish or something like that. What that does is that protects your whole painting. So if you make a mistake, you can wipe it off without damaging your painting. So you let everything dry, okay, and then go on with that. All right, but for what I'm going to do, since I've done this so many times in so many paintings, I'm going to take the tiniest bit of white, just a little bit of the white. I'm going to add to this also some extender medium to thin this out, and a little bit of glazing medium to thin this out. Now, this is one reason why I do this on a glass palette, is I can go through and I can look at that. Now, it's going to be just a little bit cloudy, but it'll dry it a little bit more clear. And so it doesn't take very much paint, and it's much better when you put this on and it dries and almost disappears, and do it again and do it again, rather than to get it too thick at one time. So make sure you have some nice thin, a little bit of glazing medium here, just a touch of the white. I'm going to put in, I like to sometimes not mix it up too well, so I get a few streaks. But overall, when you look at this one here and you see these nice rays of light that come down through here, they radiate out. The sun is back up over here, so you see them radiating out like that. Now, I don't want to, in my painting, I don't want to just like make these super visible. I want these just to be soft and gentle. So I'll use just a little bit. The sun is going to be back up here, which I might have to put on some more light right back up there. And I'm just going to pull down like this gently, and you can just barely see that. See how you can see that, just barely see that? Maybe a bit heavier here. Just a little bit of that ray of light coming through there. That all works because of this glazing medium. Let's pull one down, right down here. Boom. And so you'll see just a little bit of it. I don't want it quite as much as you see in the sample. So I'll do it a couple times here. Boom, right down like that. A little bit of that ray of light. You can come back the other way, but I like to start up at the top and work this down. Work it down so you just see that, and it'll start to dry up, and you'll say, well, maybe I need to do that again, or maybe I need just a little bit more here. And it's always best to stop short. That's just about enough right there, I think, on that one. Maybe one right over here, stop by there like that, so you see that ray of light coming through. Hopefully camera picks that up enough for you to kind of see that just a bit there. I like this one, so I might build that one more time right there. Slow down and put just a bit of that ray right there. I like these. It really shows up nice over that dark, and so I don't want to put in too much more light to it, so you can see that right there. Now, what I'm going to do to help build that, again, is I'm going to take some of this white right with my glazing medium here and work some of that light a little bit more opaque here. Just a little bit more opaque. Some heavy white right up here. You can get this nice. Glazing medium makes beautiful clouds as well. But we can just push some of this, just white, right up along this edge right in here where the white's coming right through. You can see that easier onto that one there. So that white's coming through. It's getting really light right up here and casting right on down through. So the glazing medium works fantastic for that kind of stuff. I use glazing medium if I want to change a white rose more yellow or something like that. It just works wonderful. Puts on a glaze and hue shifts something. But it works so well for controlling other types of light. And so it's just like using clear paint. That's what it is. Now, if that dries and disappears too much on it, that won't. That's going to be fine for that one. But if it dries and disappears too much, you're going to go, what happened to it? You just do it again. Sneak up on it. Don't do too much. I don't want you to comment, okay, I've messed up my whole painting because I put on too much. Now, the other thing that's very important about this, guys, is that the Heritage paint is made for this type of techniques. Heritage paint does not have any opacifiers in it, opaquing agents in it, matting agents in it. You cannot do this type of glazing technique with a craft acrylic. You have to use an artist quality acrylic that has no fillers or opacifiers in it, because they're made to go in and just take out everything. Okay, so you have to use an artist quality pigment. That's why an artist quality paint will have usually will have a glazing medium associated in line somewhere for doing these types of glazing types of techniques. Okay, now I can just go ahead and use some more of this glazing medium over here too, and work on just a few other little things. Like I'll just take my burnt sienna, a little blue, a little bit of the violet here, and just thin this out with the glazing medium right through here. And see, I can glaze that over like the water that I want to soften some of this water right in through here. Okay, and this, you can put that on like that. You can take a little bit, it's going to stay wet for a bit. You can take a little bit of water and move through it and lift the pressure on your brush to soften that a bit. I wanted to bring the water and the ground and the front together a bit more so that it picks up that powerful sky. And take a look at it back through there. So I like this one over here where it has a little bit of that dark right up there into the front. So we just do it a couple times and and get a nice look. This is, and you can see how glazing works with that really well. And so you can just start pushing back. You could use glazing in through here if you wanted to make something more yellow or something like that. Glazing mediums work really, really well. And there's also a great technique, like I said, give the whole board a coat of glazing medium and then go in and work on top of that. You've protected your painting, and then you can work up on top of that and do other things. Okay, if you're doing that, okay, make sure that the brush you're using is absolutely clean, just like a varnish brush. Okay, you don't want to use your paintbrush that you do paint with, because you might pick up some thin paint and then go over your painting and cloud it a bit. Okay, so if you're going to give the whole thing like a coat of varnish, a nice protection, which is a great thing to do, then make sure you use a clean, absolutely clean brush. You can thin it with a little water, which is what I like to do. You can thin it with extender. Water's the best. Just thin it with some water, and you can go up to 1-to-1 if you want to. Water and glazing medium. Put a nice even coat on it. You can brush it all the way through until it's dry. Do not put, if you're doing something like that, do not put on a whole bunch. Stretch it out. It doesn't take that much, okay? And stretch it out. You don't want to lake it all over the whole thing, and then you'll have just pools of it, and that doesn't work that way. Stretch it out just like you do varnish. So now you can see that's just about dry, and that's what my nice little rays of sun are going to be, using those mediums that are developed for that. Okay, I should show you some of all these different mediums and show you what some of the fun things are you can do. So there you go. That doesn't look too bad. You could put in some rocks and stuff like that. I think I'm just going to kind of leave that. It was just kind of a fun painting. And total painting time on this was maybe 3 hours, 3.5 hours, somewhere around in there. Okay, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed some of these longer ones and watch the painting come together like that. If you want to see some more of him, hit the comments. Tell me that that's what you want to do. I mean, if we want to do this with portraits and some of the other things, so you can see some a little bit more advanced techniques and a little bit more put into the painting, just let me know. I'd be happy to do that for you guys. As long as everybody's gonna give me some comments and give me some likes, I'll do it, and we can have some fun with it, okay? All right, so go click like, all 3 of them, okay? And hit some comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one, the next painting here. Think we'll go back to a floral or a portrait? We'll do something, okay? Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you guys later.